Kofi Oseamea is Member of Parliament for a Sojamai constituency. Also in the studio this morning, Theophilus Tetechai, Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central. They are my guests for AM Talk this morning. Gentlemen, good morning. Many thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay, maybe just before we start off with the conversation, there are a few messages I just want to read out. And one here says, Professor Marty should please stay away from this appalling Ghanaian politics, but as a religious leader, your country needs you and you need your country. And this must not compel you to declare your support for any particular political party, okay? You didn't add your name there. Next time, please do well to add your name when you send the messages. This message from... Okay, he says, good morning, please. I want to know about the president and the NDC, the promise of building 10 colleges, how many of them have they constructed, and many other promises. They are failed Ghanaians and should give us a break. This is coming from Wumbodo in Tebaka. Okay, I just hope I got your name right. A few more messages here. Okay, I'm not sure I can read this one. Good morning, Kwabna. Politics cannot be compared to religion, so we shouldn't make that mistake by comparing them. And my advice to Professor Mate is to cease talking, because the more he talks, the more he adds salt to injury. So for the sake of his personality and integrity, he should stop talking. Have a blissful day. Okay, this is from Sebastian from Wase Kropong. Okay, I had to read those particular messages because we do know that Professor Mate is still in the news for a number of reasons. Maybe I should start off with Tetechai, because apparently the Deputy Interior Minister, James Adelga, tried lobbying Professor Mate for a particular portfolio on the National Peace Council. He says he rejected it. And there's been a whole back and forth around this issue, with some suggesting that, you know what, this whole discussion about religion and politics is getting a bit overboard. Maybe let me take your initial reaction to it, and then we'll try and delve into some other issues. We know he's been pretty hard on the NDC for some time now. Was that a way of trying to shut him up?
Well, first of all, good morning to your cherished viewers. You know, the first issue that came out, I said categorically that the two statements made by Professor Mate, the former moderator of the Presbyterian Church, and then his former PRO, were all not credible. And you could adduce that from the various statements that they made. You couldn't even identify the names of those that they wanted, they actually dealt with. Because I believe that in meeting the press, if you want to bring out issues which are very relevant to this country, why fall short of mentioning names? You place yourself into a situation where you open up for public ridicule, and that is what has exactly that has happened.
So you're saying, in other words, he lied? The former moderator lied?
I said it's not credible.
He's not credible?
No.
His statements?
The statements that both gentlemen made were not credible, because at the end of the day, it became very difficult to pinpoint exactly whom they were referring to, just innuendos. And I don't think you communicate for people to go and fish out for those that you are actually mentioning in your statement. And when you communicate that way, you open up yourself for criticism.
So you think you should have been specific?
Of course. If I go to him and collected a bribe from him, okay, and today he wants to use that against me, why? He should be emphatic and say, on so and so date, Honorable Theophilus Tetechai came to me, presented a bribe to me. Finito.
Maybe because
you see,
because he sees himself as a public figure.
Then why should you come out in the first place?
Large following. He doesn't want to be seen to be aligned to a particular political party.
No, it is wrong. It is totally wrong. Even coming from the background that you are a reverend minister, the person to uphold the truth, and what are you afraid of? So if even you were afraid of something, then why mention it? So for me, the two of them in the first instance were all not credible in their statements. Now, to add insult to injury, another one has also come out. And from all indications, that one too is proving to be The same thing.
Okay, you asked him to, you mentioned earlier that
Yeah.
you wanted him to be specific. He's
Yeah.
been very specific with this one. He mentioned the Deputy Interior Minister's name. He even read out the text message, gave the date and the time and all. So what more do you want?
You see,
Is that not credible
you
enough?
you see, per the structure, the rules and regulations governing the formation of the, how do you call it, the Peace Council, government has no rule. Government has 2 appointments on the board. The other appointments are coming from the religious bodies, okay? And we have various religious groups. Now, after this setup, they themselves decide who becomes their president. So, in what way will the government or will any of our ministers call you and say that we want you to become the chair?
We want to lobby for you to become the chair.
Because in the first place, those Christian leaders who are coming on board are not people who have been appointed by government. So for me, I don't even want to...
The underlying point, however, has to do with the fact that it appears there's a deliberate attempt to get him to shut up.
Who made these statements? Was he coming from
Professor
government?
Mate made
Exactly. So who is gagging him? The man...
He is saying, from all he's saying so far, it appears there's a
look,
deliberate
from
attempt
time
to get him to shut
immemorial,
up.
he's a senior citizen. From time immemorial, he spoke in his mind. Who gagged him? He has never been gagged.
Probably at the time
Now
he was
that
not,
you are
this
out,
critical of the
now that
NDC.
you are out of service, that is when you are going to be gagged. He can go and tell this to the fishes in the sea. When you were in active service, you were able to speak your mind. And now that you are out of service, you are no more leading the church. That is the period that you are going to be gagged.
So you're saying when he was more relevant, the NDC did not even attack him?
I didn't say.
No, I just want to find out whether that's what
choice
you
of
mean.
words
Okay.
is very important.
Okay.
You are communicating. Otherwise, the next time you hear on the newspapers that I have come to insult a leader of this
At the
country.
time, he was leading a flock. He had a huge following.
Exactly.
He had a lot of influence.
Exactly.
He does not have that now.
Exactly.
So if you
even
should
at that
compare,
time,
if you should
he
compare
had
both,
the courage, everything to say all the things he wanted to say. Nobody gagged him. And now
he says you tried bribing him.
That is for him to say. Whether people will believe it or not, it is between him and his God.
So the NDC did not try bribing him?
Not at all. We will do that for what? For what? For what? There have been people in this country who have been very critical of government.
People like?
I can't just mention names. There are a lot of people who are always criticizing government.
They've not been bribed?
Have they been gagged?
Okay.
No. So, please, you see, we should allow our democracy to grow based on the truth. And for me, I've always said that, look, before you come out to speak, decide for yourself whether you want to speak the truth or you want to make matters worse. Because if you are not ready to bring out the facts, then why speak in the first place? Me, I don't even want to waste my time on these issues.
I see.
It's something that we need to look forward and see what we can do to enhance our democracy.
Mr. Samuel, do you also agree with this, that for you, someone attempting to influence the leadership of some religious bodies to be as it may, shut up just so people continue to endure things for themselves and see things for themselves? They do not necessarily need anybody propagating the word that, yes, you are suffering, we know you are suffering. You also agree with him that you think we should just relegate this issue to the background?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And to your...
And it's been a while since I saw you again.
Yes, yes. Good morning, my friend. Yeah. I don't share my colleagues' view. And I'll give you a simple reason. I don't understand why Professor Mate is being castigated when all he's saying is that he has been a Presbyterian and that Basra was the first Christian religion or Christian faith
to be brought to this land. And it was brought on the principles of truth, being the light.
In the light we shall see light.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that, I think this whole thing emanated from his speech at the Akropong conference, where Nana Akufo-Addo attended and sought some form of collaboration or partnership with the leadership of the church to assist in rooting out corruption, which is permeated into our society, to our system, so much that it has become so cancerous that if we do not exterminate it, it would exterminate us. And it was through that some who are in government did not appreciate that a religious leader has moved from his arena of religion into politics. But I'm saying that truth and light is something that rises above politics. It is part of us. It is our makeup. And for that reason, you cannot relegate what the man was seeking to tell Ghanaians to the back room.
But this has been the issue. Now, some are saying that, yes, even if there's any truth to all these things he's saying, that he was at one political party in the country attempted bribing him at a point in time, and then subsequently the Deputy Interior Minister, Mr. James Agaga, also tried seeking his consent for the party to lobby for him to become the chair of the National Peace Council and all. Some would say, as a senior citizen and as someone who leads such a very large following, is it prudent to come out with this information? I mean, what good is it going to do anyway?
Oh, come on, please. Obviously, yes. A senior citizen. What has he got to lose by telling the truth, speaking out the truth? Of course, his journey in this life, his journey on this planet, has come to almost a full cycle. So why should he not preach what he's been brought up with as a Presbyterian from day one to where he has reached? What stops him from saying the truth? What stops him from telling Ghanaians about the fact that corruption has become part of our system and that we should stand against it? Tell me, what is wrong with that? Absolutely nothing wrong with that, but perhaps something good in it. And that if we do not want to see the light, we do not want to know the truth, then we should not be making assertions like somebody's a senior citizen. Of course, even that concretizes the position, because he's come from a very low stage and come all the way to where he has reached to be the presiding head of the Presbyterian Church, the biggest, oldest church, and we are Christians. So if the oldest church member is saying that we have an issue to deal with as a country, as citizens, then I think we should embrace it and work towards it when we are moving forward.
Could he not have done that without necessarily bringing in all these preambles?
Why, you don't want Ghanaians to know the truth?
Sometimes people say in the interest of the state and all. There's no point in bringing these up.
Oh, says who? Says you?
No, not me.
So who says that there is no point in bringing this? That if, in fact, unless you can come and say that.
There are some colleague clergymen who have come out to suggest that at the time it didn't appear to be the most prudent thing to have done.
Well, I don't know the basis upon which they make those assertions. You can't just make assertions without foundation, without building. So people can make assertions. But where is the locus standi of that assertion? So people can make, just as they are making those assertions, and they have a right to make those assertions, Why doesn't Professor Marty has the same right to make assertions if it is not injurious? But if it is, then you know the avenue to take, the path to take. But don't come and ridicule him and make him as though he's off his rockets.
Now, the Interior Minister, in fact, the ministry has come out with a statement to deny the claims by the man of God. Now, let me read verbatim to you portions of that very statement. It says, the caption is, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Marty deceives the public on offer to chair National Peace Council. Now, it says, the Ministry of the Interior has been following with keen interest wild allegations by Reverend Professor Emmanuel Marty on various media platforms that the Deputy Minister of the Interior, Honorable James Agaga, in consultation with the Minister of the Interior, offered him the position as chairman of the National Peace Council. It says, according to Section 4.2 and 3 of the National Peace Council Act 2011, Act 818, the position of the chairperson of the Peace Council is elective. That is, only members of the board can elect one of their members as the chairperson. Honorable James Agaga could not have lobbied Reverend Professor Marty to take up the position of chairman of the Peace Council in view of the fact that he's not clothed with such power in view of the law. So this is a statement from the Interior Ministry.
We can be playing with legalities and moralities, right? But at the end of the day, we lobby. It says lobby.
We lobby?
Lobby. So you can lobby people, you can direct people, you can talk to people. If Professor Marty says that they lobbied him to aspire to that position and he wasn't interested, so what's the big deal?
But was that a practice during the NPP era?
Was
that
that
people lobbied?
How would I? You were the one reading to me. Didn't you read to me?
But you just said that we lobby.
Yes, and I'm saying that. I'm just saying generally.
Okay.
Lobbying goes on.
Okay.
I can lobby you to come my way. You can lobby me to come your direction.
Right.
There's nothing, the law does not stop one from campaigning, just like we are doing, to have a leader. So if in the case of the Peace Council, the leadership of that has become vacant, and people want to occupy that position, and somebody believes that a person can do the job, and they approach them, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But the question is there something which is not permissible within those confines? If that is the case, then we have an issue. But in this particular case, he says they were trying to give him the leadership, lobby for him. It doesn't mean because the act says it's an elective position, and for that matter, it could not have happened. What kind of logic is this? It doesn't make sense, excuse me to say.
Right, that's fine.
Doesn't.
Speaking of politics and all, we know the president is in the central region. He's commissioning a few schools and all. But in his performance of duty as president, he's also campaigning. Now, that has been one subject matter that people have been raising over the past few hours, suggesting that it's an abuse of incumbency. But then again, he's now asking for 4 more years in order to complete the 200 community day schools he promised earlier. Maybe I should still stay with you. And would you say this is the mark of someone who does not deserve another 4 years?
It's up to the for the people to judge.
What do you think? What does
I believe that, of course, there's it's time for change. Time for change in the sense that now I'm not going outside the bounds that you have set, and you have referred to the 200
community days in high schools.
Yes, and I believe that was in response of the free.
Progressively free senior high school.
That's Nana Akufo-Addo during the 2012.
Well, it's embedded in the constitution.
Well,
so
whether it is embedded, at least it takes one leader to implement it.
Okay, that's fine.
Right, the constitution can say it says so many things, but its implementation is just not there. So let us not play precisely.
That's fine.
Okay, so let's get straight to the point.
Sure.
And the point is, I did not make the promise that vote for me, and within the 4 years I will construct. I didn't. So the person who made the promise through the allocation of resources, which is the people's resources, proper management and control of the resources. You manage it and position it in such a way that the promises that were made are fulfilled within the time space that you have been given. Because it is like their children, our kids, taking them to school. They have assignments, they write tests. They are measured against time. If you are not measured against time, then what have you got? Absolutely nothing. So if it's being measured against time, and he himself admittedly says that I have failed within the time you gave me, I want extra time. Primary school, middle school, secondary school, universities, you request for extension of time before the time has come. And if it is granted, before you can extend, otherwise you have failed. That principle cuts across, and it must not be interfered with or obstructed, in which case then the people of Ghana do not even have anything to say, because he has himself admitted failure on that score.
It has to do with unforeseen challenges. The country together with a few others we've actually suffered a lot of hits, even with the yes, we have oil now, but the kind of estimates we made or the projections we made 4 years ago, the projections we made have not necessarily been fulfilled or met because of the fluctuating prices of oil on the world market.
Well, that's why in cases of vehicles you have shock absorbers, right? Because you know some places are undulating and you hit bumps. These are all things that you take into account.
But is it wrong to ask for some more time to be able to deliver on the promise that will serve the interest of the entire citizen?
The people, when you go to the people and seek for leadership, and leadership is to manage the people, the human resources, as well as the material resources.
True.
You manage it and you control it in such a way that the people at the end of the day benefit and develop out of it. And if 200 community day care schools is part of the strategy and plan, right? As you provide the estimates and you hit a bump and you need to reorganize, you have something called supplementary, which we have been working with these tools all along the way. Now, one item that is of major concern, education, which is critical, and you said it's a constitutional requirement, and a constitutional requirement that we have accepted to implement, but we are not able to redirect or reroute the resources so that it is implementable. Because there were certain areas where resources went, monies went, that yielded absolutely no benefit to us as a country. And if we had planned and reorganized well, perhaps we could have done it in a way that we would not even be asking for extra time, simply because, right, we had we were in government previously, and we knew all this.
So in other words, the president doesn't have any excuse
on that score.
Okay.
I mean, you quoted, and I'm restricting myself to your particular issue.
Indeed.
And indeed, you quoted by saying he promised, and he said he has failed.
He hasn't specifically said that. He just says he wants some more time.
Well, give me more time. You promised within time. Not so. So if and the president knew at the time when he promised that he was going to be allocated 4 years within which he has to implement. And he accepted that. So what has changed? President must come and tell us why
he has failed.
Why he knew that it was not possible, taking into account exigencies of life, and that extra unforeseen issues or circumstances may arise. And for that reason, it could happen. So you say, well, I will do within a range. so that if you fall within the range, you are not. But if you make an emphatic promise,
I see.
and you yourself comes and say, you step forward and say, look, I couldn't do it. Give me extra time. Then you have left yourself to the mercy of the people.
Okay.
And the people must judge you by your own admission.
Okay. Chai, I mean, you seem to be giggling when he was speaking, but from the MPP's position, well, the president has failed us, and yes, he wants 4 more years. What for?
Well, you are saying from their position. From our position, it is not.
If you promise to
first of
deliver
all,
something in a stipulated time and you're unable to do that, have you not failed?
Well, it is not. You've not failed.
If you promise your parents,
you've not been able to meet your target.
Yes. Have you not failed?
No, it doesn't mean you failed. No.
I see.
But first of all, you did begin by saying that what His Excellency the President, the commissioner of the school, that the people were...
Some are raising concerns about abuse of incumbency, conflict of interest.
That is not... You see, the NDC as a party, we've learned over the years.
I think let's deal with the...
No, it's very important.
Because
maybe he wants to...
No, I have a reason for that.
Specifically.
No, he raised an issue.
Anyway, yes,
he raised the issue.
You can address it briefly.
I want to...
Go ahead.
Okay.
You realize that after our campaign launch, the first constituency that His Excellency the President visited, there was supposed to be distribution of outboard motors that the fisher folks have purchased. You quite remember?
I remember.
Now, unfortunately, we went into that program with our party paraphernalia. You quite remember? Civil society groups came out to criticize what we did.
But is there anything wrong with us criticizing it?
No.
State funds
just listen to me. Let me end it.
Okay.
As a campaign team, we have ensured that such a thing will not happen.
Okay.
So you realize that where the president has to do state functions, you see the national emblem. You see no party activity around the place. Yesterday, if you were to watch GTV, you realize that the commissioning of the Abodoman Secondary School was done not on partisan lines. And that is very significant.
Is he not in the region to campaign?
He's in the region, but he is there as a flag bearer of the NDC, at the same time the president of the Republic of Ghana.
The margins are very blurred. It's difficult
No. Whether it is difficult or not, that is what the Constitution has given him. He is the president. He has to still perform the roles, the responsibilities that the good people of this country has given to him.
So it's just one of the advantages he gets as a president.
You get it?
Okay.
So what we are doing now is that we separate national activity from party activity.
Even though it doesn't necessarily come out so. You try your very best to separate it.
And yesterday, if you were to watch the live telecast, you see a clear distinction that this was a state function.
Okay, now let's return to those 200 community days in high schools.
We did promise 200 secondary schools. And the term of the president is 4 years. It is very significant.
About 3 or 4 more months.
Yes, that is why today civil society groups are cautioning various political parties that we should be very circumspect in what we promise.
Are you talking about Nana Akufo-Addo and the many promises?
Well, it is for all of us, because that is the essence of democracy. For us to move from one stage to the other, we want to always follow best practices. Okay? So yes, we did promise that within our mandate, we're going to put up 200 secondary schools. His Excellency the President has come out to indicate to Ghanaians the reasons why he's not been able to provide the 200. As I talk to you, we have 123 at various stages.
Various stages of
completion. Today, we've been told that 50 of the secondary schools are ready for commissioning. And His Excellency the President, anywhere he finds himself on the campaign trail, where you have these schools, he will commission. But we've not been able to meet that target. And you see, as a political party, as part of our manifesto, we are not going to add new.
So you've learned your lesson. You're not going to make any more promises.
So what is left? What is left to be completed? We will make sure it will be on our agenda. And this is for all of us.
So this is your topmost priority for the next 4 years. If given the mandate, the NDC wants to complete a failed promise.
Not a failed promise, an uncompleted promise. If you say failed, it means you've not even touched it.
You said 200. You've done 50. That's a quarter of it.
You've not failed.
If you get 4 over 10 in an exam,
no,
if you get a 40% in an exam,
it is not 40%.
50.
It is not 40. So you can't conclude.
If you get 40%.
No, you see, what we've forgotten is that we have earmarked 123, not the 200.
Okay.
And this 123 by
at
December.
At various stages of completion.
Exactly.
At various stages,
and as I know, 50 are ready now. 50 of the 123 are ready. Okay. So it tells you by December.
You seem to be giving conflicting figures, because I think I quite remember a deputy minister for education suggesting we had about 56 that were ready some time back.
Well, I don't know. I said about 50.
About 50.
50.
Could it be more?
I'm not the minister for education.
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
not on the field.
That's
but
fine.
what I know is that
it's 50.
About 50 has been completed. So I can speak based on that. Exactly. So for us, we've come out to tell the public the challenges that we've had over the construction of the 200 secondary schools. But the most important thing is you have a leader who is very transparent, who is very truthful to the people. Okay? And for us, we are happy that His Excellency the President wants to ensure that these 200-day secondary schools are provided for our various communities.
I think based on his sincerity, Ghanaians should go ahead and vote for him?
Why
based
not?
On the president's sincerity.
That is the mark of good leadership. That is the mark of good leadership.
And you think
where you fall short, you should have the boldness to tell the people. That is it. You don't defend the indefensible. And that is why, as a political party, in constructing our manifesto for this year, we've ensured that things that we are putting in place are things that we can be attainable, time-bound.
The last 4 years, you did not do that.
No, there were things that we couldn't.
They were clearly out.
That is why when people are promising
so things you knew you couldn't do, yesterday you put in your manifesto.
No. You see, I've told you that our democracy is evolving. Okay? We are moving into best practices. Okay? Things that we were doing.
So at the time it was permissible because we were not that advanced. Okay.
Unless you have a political party who still wants to be in the past. But for the NDC, we will never be in the past. So we want to move forward.
Kofi Assemblea, maybe I'll take some final words from you. Now, according to the NDC, they believe the president needs to be voted for because he's been very sincere. And really, if you can't do it, you can do it. He's come out, he says, yes, I can't do it. But I still want to do it, just give me 4 more years. He says he's going to deliver on the next mandate that is given him as president.
I wish I could follow on the path that he has led us.
Just a bit. But your flag bearer seems to be making a lot of promises. A lot of promises.
You know, I don't know. Let's go back to what he said before you go to promises.
We have to do that in just about 5 minutes or so.
That's fine. It's so sad and somehow frightening.
It's frightening
to hear that he did not even think about the promise. They did not think about the promise or promises they were making until recently. People have come to say, watch the promises. And that President Mahama did not put thought into the promises that he was making. So he has now been cautioned, and we have now, our democracy is evolving.
We are heading towards those promises, but whatever the case, as things stand now,
I'm only just trying to get the argument from where he's bringing it. And if that is the case, then it's sad. Now, promises are measured.
1 dam per district.
Yes,
$1 million.
When you talk about 1 dam per district.
Subsequently, we're told there were boreholes.
Oh, please. That was the NDC.
We heard from Mustafa Hamid, who said yes. The NDC. It was based on. It was during the translation.
No. I was here last Monday with Yamin.
Yes.
And I'm saying, when I say that
No, but
well
it was
advised.
said
But
that
you
we
did
had
not.
Mustafa
You
Hamid.
did
Yeah.
not. You did not premise your conversation on Mustafa Hamid. You should have said Mustafa Hamid had said this. You just opened it, and I came
The
from
promise,
that.
the promise
tell
from the
me
flag
when-
bearer is 1 dam per district. Questions were asked about feasibility, cost, and all, and then subsequently, Mustafa Hamid comes out to say that yes, the dam does not necessarily mean a dam that's going to, for instance, provide electricity, but it could be a borehole.
Oh, what it means is very simple. Now, it depends on the area and how the technical people or engineers are able to design. In certain areas, you don't need a huge dam like the Akosombo hydro project dam, right? You will need a miniature.
But you will still not consider it a borehole. You still think it's a dam.
Well, of course, I mean, if what is a dam is a hollow in which water collects,
Fine.
and
That's
as long as the water does not evaporate, you maintain, you put a mechanism around it to be moist or to not to get the humidity to take the water.
One district,
water
one
out.
factory.
What is wrong with that?
Attainable?
Of course.
In 4 years?
It is not based on what he has said, that they did not put thought into it. And that is why he's now been cautioned. And so he's come out to say the 123 is even doable, but no, it is only 50. That is not the path we are taking. That path is a no-no path. Before you promise, you must know that you can deliver. Otherwise, the people will punish you.
And the MPP is sure it can deliver on
yes,
these
of course,
promises.
and that if the MPP do not deliver, they ought to be punished, but they ought to be given a chance by given the chance to deliver. In this case, they have been given a chance and they have failed.
Kofi Osei-Ameya is Member of Parliament for the Sojaman constituency. He's been one of our guests on AM Talk this morning.
Yes,
Also,
141
Theophilus
DB.
Tetechai, Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central. He's also been our guest on AM Talk this morning. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Your brothers are
on
getting
this
jobs
show.
and you don't
And
like it.
time now for us to do some entertainment. Ibrahim Bembako is standing by with the very latest. Stay tuned.